The next morning, his joy turned to sorrow. Adaga's belly was swollen. He cried and wondered what could have happened to him. He felt something kicking inside his belly. What is happening to me? What is kicking in stomach? He started to panic, sweating and panting for breath. He remembered the night before, and he screamed, "No! Oh no!" In the village of Omimiri, there lived a young man named Adaga. Adaga was an orphan. He lived alone in a small hut. The only living relative he had was his old grandmother. She lived in the neighboring village, so every market day he goes there to visit her. One day he visited his grandmother, and she gave him lots of foodstuffs and dried meat. The bag he carried was so heavy, and it made him walk slow. So he arrived late to Omimiri, and he was so thirsty. He got to his hut and tried to take water from the pot, but the water was infested with mosquito lavers. He had no choice but to go to the stream. That night, he now walked really fast to the stream, and he started finding water, and someone touched him. As he turned, she was a mermaid. She smiled at him and introduced herself as Abora. She laid with him and warned him not to tell anyone. That night, as Adaga returned back to his hut, he kept smiling until he slept off. But the next morning, his joy turned to sorrow. Adaga's belly was swollen. He cried and wondered what could have happened to him. He felt something kicking inside his belly. He remained inside the house, sleeping and eating the dried meat he brought from his grandmother's place. But after some days, the meat was finished. He had no option but to go out and look for food. So he started sneaking out. This continued for a while. But one day, while he was out taking fruits, a palm wine tapper noticed him. The tapper informed some of his friends, and the friends informed their women, and that was how the news spread like wildfire. The villagers whispered about it. Children pointed their tiny fingers towards his hut. Elders exchanged glances. Some of the villagers trooped to his house to see the pregnant man. This made him very shy. He cried and begged the gods to take his life. What spread to neighboring villages and people journeyed to see the pregnant man in Omimiri. This made the elders of Omimiri very worried. So the elders of Omimiri decided to summon Adaga and question him. But Adaga sat there, looking at the entire village without saying a word. "Now say something. We don't know if what you have inside you is a blessing or a curse. We are giving you 7 days to give us an answer, else you will be banished from this land." So they allowed Adaga to go back home. That night, Adaga went to the river and he started crying. "Abora, show your face. What have I done to deserve this? This burden you have given me is too much for me to carry. Come and take this load. Come and take it." And she showed her face. She smiled and told him not to worry, that she would defend him and he would not be banished. So Adaga went back home that night, and 7 days later he was summoned to the palace again. "Now, are you ready to talk? Now say something." But Adaga sat there crying and waiting for Abora to appear and defend, but there was no sign of her. So the king ordered the villagers to chase him away. The villagers started chanting and singing derogatory songs as they chased him away. Suddenly, Abora appeared.
"That child is a warrior and will save this land. Anyone who touches him will face my wrath. Now take him back to the village and treat him like a king. Anyone who disobeys me will die."
So Abora warned them. She also appeared to the king and some of the elders, and she warned them too. They immediately sent Adaga back to his hut, and the elders apologized to him with a chieftaincy title. The entire village started trooping to his house daily with different delicacies. His grandmother also visited him and started taking care of him. Adaga became very happy again. He cradled his belly, feeling the flutter of life. One rainy night, Adaga felt his first contraction. The earth trembled with sympathy as he knelt down. He shouted and cried, and suddenly Abora appeared to him, for she had sense in the spirit realm that the awaited child is due to be birthed to earth. She stretched out her arm, and there appeared a large calabash, and covering the calabash is another calabash, which has 70 pieces of white cowries sticking out in a pattern that is best understood by Abora. Abora made a loud, unaudible sound. Adaga could see her screaming, but no sound was heard by him or any other mortal being. And suddenly the child in the stomach awed Adaga, leaped out, and appeared in the calabash. Adaga immediately felt a great relief, like a pound of mortal was taken away from his stomach. The mermaid then stretched out the calabash to Adaga, saying, "Here lie your baby. Take care of her, and nurture her like a woman would nurture her infant." The next morning, the entire village jubilated. They celebrated and welcomed their warrior. They all trooped to his house with so many gifts and food. The king and the elders also celebrated, and they organized a grand feast to welcome their warrior. The feast was very elaborate. They all danced and ate. Suddenly, in the midst of this celebration, Abora appeared. Her name will be Miteta, for she will be a strong and powerful. When she disappeared, the villagers continued celebrating. Miteta was not an ordinary child. She was unlike any other baby in the village. She was always angry. Other babies were so scared of her. At the age of 5, she became a warrior. She was fighting her age, even people older than her. The villagers would raise her up in excitement, praising her and jubilating. Miteta spent all her time with young men and warriors. This made her father, Adaga, very lonely. His grandmother had passed away, so he started visiting Abora at the river every evening. He would visit her, spend quality time with her, and beg her to take him under the river to see her people. But Abora kept taking him to other parts of the river, and Adaga kept insisting that he wanted to meet her sisters and mother. Miteta turned 17 and a war was coming. The village of Ikoga threatened to wipe away their entire land. This made Miteta very angry, so she got the blessing of the king, and she organized the warriors, and together they marched to the battlefield. Miteta fought fearlessly, and the village of Omimiri was able to defeat the village of Ikoga, and together they carried her as the champion back to the village. Everyone in Omimiri welcomed and celebrated her, but Miteta could not see any sign of her father, Adaga. Now this made her very angry, so she walked straight to their hut to confront him. But getting there, she could not see any sign of her father. Adaga had gone to the river the previous night to see Abora. He pleaded with her. He wanted to see her sisters, and this time she accepted. Now he met with her sisters, and they all fell in love with him. They decided to marry him and leave with him down there. Miteta was so angry, but there was nothing she could do. Meanwhile, Miteta was so angry and tired of waiting for her father, so she decided to go to the river and look for him. "Abora, show yourself. Where is my father?" "My beautiful child, your father now belongs here. You can join us after all you are done with your mission." "Never. I will never join you." So the battle began. Eventually, Miteta defeated Abora, and she brought out her father, Adaga. But he never remained the same, for he had lost the understanding to talk or communicate with people of the world again. He remained a deaf and dumb for the rest of his life, but lived a fulfilled life ever after. If you have learnt any lesson from this story of Adaga and Abora, please share your thoughts in the comments section. To our returning viewers, we say thank you, and if you had not subscribed, please press the subscribe button to subscribe. Also like and share to your friends and family. Thanks for watching.